Welcome to our Meet the Experts Production Designers panel. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with Paul Cripps from Lasso, Neil Patel from Dickinson, and James McGowan from The Real World Homecoming New York and The Challenge Double Agents. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. I really firstly wanted to hear from all of you about the difficulty in properly balancing the desire to focus heavily on visual aesthetics, which I guess would all be in your blood. That's what you do every day. It's what you live and breathe, as opposed to also ensuring that the physical spaces inhabited by the characters are also practical and authentic. I'll go to you first, Paul, because I know that that's a huge factor in what you're doing on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a difficult thing, I think, sometimes to design for both camera and for physical space in terms of people inhabiting it. I mean, in terms of scripted drama, I think it's, it depends on a lot of practical factors like the size of your studio, the size of your locations, and I just wonder whether there's a trade-off between designing spaces that are friendly in terms of the camera, but then also in terms of making them work for actors or performers. I often think sometimes you get a quite different performance on a location-based show as opposed to a stage-based show. I don't know whether anybody else agrees with that, but I think those kind of things are a factor in terms of designing it. And I think there's also the idea that in terms of actors, I think you have to make the actors feel comfortable and make them believe in the space as well. Because I think if they believe in the space and they can inhabit it as their character, I think it makes it a huge benefit for them because they can relax in that and then they can concentrate more on the performance.
Yeah. Neil, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that's always, it's always a challenge to find a balance between making something visually, we always want what we do to be beautiful, or even if it's not, even if it's a distress set, we're aestheticizing, we're designers, but you're always also supporting the story and the character. And it's really important that in the end, that what the visual language doesn't distract from the storytelling and the ability of the audience to just relate and go to the story. I mean, whenever I'm watching something, because it's my craft, I'm always looking out, looking at other people's craft, and it's always satisfying when you kind of forget it and you just get into the story and you feel something. And I think that's what we all try to do. I think in the end, you want the design to allow the actors to get to achieve a performance like that and a connection with the audience.
Yeah.
And so it is a lot.
James, for you, it's slightly different when you're working in reality TV because you've also got the safety aspects. A lot of these people are doing the most ridiculous, death-defying things, and a lot of it has to be interacting with your practical sets that also look amazing and awe-inspiring. So talk us through that challenge.
Yeah, we deal with that all the time, especially because for the houses, people have to live in them for months on end. So like when we're, putting people underground in a bunker, or like even just fitting 34 people into a space, I've had complete disasters where I've like thought, I can make the beds just a little bit smaller, or like just to fit them all in, or we can, compress this or compress that. And, it turns out we've had aeroplanes that we've spun around and people have to like get out of aeroplanes and stuff like that. And doing all that stuff is just like all sounds so good when you're talking about it. But when, like you can just mess up one measurement and people's lives are like at risk. Like the things we do, really, that's the most terrifying thing, I think. Yeah, because we're living in the spaces. So
yeah, I just think that for me would be probably the biggest challenge if I was in your shoes. I also think about this a lot, and I like to ask this question with people like yourselves who are working so creatively. When you go back in time, when did you first know you wanted to be a designer? Because Was there a light bulb moment? Did it happen just organically? Paul, what about you? Like, what drew you to this profession?
I don't know if it's a time when I want to be a production designer, but I knew when I was when I became obsessed with filming and sets was basically, in 1977, I went to see Star Wars and I was nuts about it, probably like many kids of my age. I saw it about 10 times that year. And then in 1978, Harrison Ford came to make a film in my town. And it was called Hanover Street. And it's a small town in Oxford called Woodstock. And they came to film at the Palace, which is near us. And I spent 2 weeks bunking off school to watch the filming. And they were filming night shoots, and it was a World War II film, so they were doing car chases and shooting. And at that point, I thought, oh my God, this is like a people do this. People get paid for this, you know. And my grandmother's florist shop was turned into a French boulangerie, and people kept coming in to ask for bread, you know. And I thought, oh, that is amazing that you fooled, you know. And old Jewish tourists were getting off the bus, having seen Winston Churchill's grave, and pulling up outside a town hall that had swastikas flying from it, when they were all like, what is going on? And I thought that mystery was amazing. So I had no idea how to work in the industry at that point, but that's the point when I realized, like, this is an amazing kind of craft that people have.
Wow. And it's so inspiring that you were able to actually, you know, take that inspiration and then move it into something real. Neil, did you have a similar experience?
I came to. I also didn't. I mean, I never imagined, or didn't really even know, you know, that you could be a production designer or a set designer. I think when I was young and studying, and I was really interested in visual arts and architecture and sculpture, and I kind of entered college thinking I would do that, you know, and take more of the art school path. And then I just met people who were, at that time, because my entry into this was from the theater, I just met people who were putting on shows, at that time very experimental, you know, downtown, as we call it, like kind of stuff. And it was really cool. Like, you know, we were, you know, you flood a whole warehouse and, you know, float a set on it, and light, you know, you kind of transform a space and turn it into something magical and cool. And so I loved that. And I loved I found that so inspiring. And I also just really loved the collaborative, like working with people. The process of making these things takes so many people and so many talented people to come together that I found that process and working that way is just addictive, and have continued doing it.
And here you are today. And James, did you have any similar experiences when you had that light bulb moment that you just had to be a designer?
I kind of drifted in it. I think that, like, initially when I was at school, and I was really interested in like performance, and we did a lot of drama and stuff like that. And then I ended up doing kind of being more involved in the sets, like organically. And then at uni, I went to Brighton School of Art, and I did visual art and theatre. And then it just ended up being all about like just the stuff that I'd create physically more than the performance stuff. So it just, but then even then and then I went traveling for a while, and then I came back, and I just got a job as a PA on in London, actually, on Harry Potter, and just randomly, like, and that kind of just got stuck, and then just did it for a while, and then kind of, you know, you end up here. But there was never some great plan. It just
That's the way it goes, isn't it?
Right?
It's probably the best way.
Yeah.
Now, James, sticking with you, what did you what did you wish you knew when you first started out about the ups and downs of designing for TV and film that you know now?
Oh, is that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm mixing it up.
Way around. Sorry, can you say that again? What do I know now?
Well, what did you wish you knew when you first started out about the ups and downs of designing for TV and film that you now know?
I don't know. I guess it's just about the stress. I guess it's about the stress of it. I wish to have known how it can be very, very stressful. You know, there's no kind of messing up, or there's no like extending of deadlines, or there's no, I wish I'd have been a bit, you know, that's kind of something I wish I'd known about. It's not just about pretty pictures and stuff. It's strategy, and it's like, you know, it's gameplay. So
Would you agree, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I just got distracted by a work email, so you're gonna have to repeat the question.
You just never switch off.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. The middle of
No. But what did you know? What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out, when you were just, you know, a kid and didn't know anything?
Oh, that's a really good. You know, I think now I still don't know how to answer that. I think, you know, I think it is, you know, like James was saying, we all kind of go about these professions in such roundabout and sometimes chaotic way. You know, you never know what's coming next. It's hard to be a freelancer. I think, at least in my case, and knock on plastic, is that, you know, just to know that it will work out. You just follow your passion. It'll work out. You just have to trust that.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing that we should be telling all the youngins. And Paul, what about you?
Yeah, no, I think that's very true. I think it's the fact that, you know, if you just hold on and you keep going and you get a ball rolling, you will get other jobs, you know. And also the fact that every job comes to an end, and it might, you know, they might be great or they might be horrendous, but they will still roll on, and you will get something else, and you will look back at it and you will probably think fondly of a time when you wanted to quit. You know, I mean, it's just, it's such a crazy business. I think we're all in need of, you know, counseling, and it's nuts, but it's also slightly addictive, and we can't not do it. And so we all are, we're a mad bunch of, you know, oddballs, but it seems to work. And, you know, we produce some things that people really care about.
Yeah, that's key, you know. People really do care about this stuff.
Yeah, they do. I think that's something I've realized in lockdown a lot more. You know, I think when you're working and everybody was going around, you know, you just think of it as TV, you know, but I think through lockdown you realize actually it's quite important to people. You know, it's kind of a new form of reading. I mean, I think reading has come back as well, and that's what I do to kind of escape things in a way. But I think people can find themselves, or they can find something of themselves in a show that might help them in their life. And that's something I think that Ted Lasso has taught me that I didn't quite realize. I mean, I've been involved in TV programs before that have had fandoms, you know, and people have, you know, got together in groups. And some of the people who like follow me on Twitter have followed me for like a show I did, you know, 15 years ago. And that's amazing. And that's just such a wonderful part of it that perhaps I didn't know when I first started, but I should have known, because I was quite obsessive about programs as well. You know, I should have realized that. It's just a lovely thing.
It absolutely is. You know, my favorite question to ask people like yourselves is to look back over the years and think back to a film or a TV series that sits with you as like a gold standard in design and visual aesthetic, that has moved you and inspired you, like, you know, your favorite work that's not your own. Like, I'll go first so you have some time to think. But I'm not a designer, obviously, but I mean, I still can appreciate great design. And I always, you know, think that the first Godfather, which is probably my, you know, favorite film of all time, also has the most awe-inspiring design. You know, the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and the restaurant and the wedding. And sometimes I watch the film and just love luxuriating in that space and feeling a little kind of dangerous, and, you know, back in the olden days with the Italian mafia. So that's just me. I'm a little crazy. So I'm wondering then what you guys would point to as something that's really moved and inspired you, and you thought, wow, that look is incredible. Who would like to go first? Does anything in particular comes to mind? Cricket.
I can go if you like. I mean, there's so many things that I could probably talk about. I mean, but if I were to talk about two completely different sides, I'm a big fan of Andrei Tarkovsky's films, and the way he uses kind of set design in such a weird kind of poetic visual way yet you don't really care whether it feels real or not. That it's just done with so much kind of so much impetus that you just go with it. But I just think they're so kind of lyrically, I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of visually beautiful kind of pieces of work. But then on the other side, I was really interested. I read an article the other day about Mindhunter, and about the idea of David, the director. Sorry, it's completely
Fincher. Yeah,
David Fincher. So David Fincher was talking about how he was interested in the idea. He's moved on into this idea of having really heightened drama, but in really kind of what appears to be mundane, dull locations. But I thought the production design on Mindhunter was quite interesting in that everything had that kind of beige look. The offices were quite mundane and kind of felt very simplistic. But then there was this kind of talk about all this kind of heightened tension and murders, and I was really interested in that. And I like those kind of ideas that sometimes turn things on their head, where it's not a massive visual thing, but it's still interesting in a way with what somebody's done to it. There was a very interesting Swedish drama recently called The Investigation, which is about a murder in a submarine.
Oh, it's great.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Again, it's like mundane police, spaces, but it was done so beautifully, and so in such an understated way. I really admire those kind of designs, as well as the kind of big ones that sit in your face. The Harry Potter is just incredible. The Harry Potter films are just amazing, and Stuart Craig is such a very, very talented guy. But I think there's on kind of two sides of it, which was why I was quite keen to talk to is it Warren, who was the designer on Fargo. Because Fargo is another thing where it's kind of a very different world it's a particular area in America that we don't see very much, and I find that kind of design interesting, where you go into a particular area that's very different to another part of the country, and that almost becomes like another character in the drama.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What about you, James?
I don't know. The thing I guess I think about the most is Space Odyssey, and definitely the thing on the bigger, largest scale of things. But I always refer to that, and I probably, when I'm pulling up reference for stuff, it's probably one of the things that I pull the most reference for. Just the simplicity and the color and stuff like that. They actually had 3 production designers work on it as a team, which I also find really interesting in how that would work.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie. I mean, you could just print off stills from it and just put it on your wall. It's so stunning to look at.
Or throw them in mood boards on a monthly basis.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well,
it's
guys,
just the VFX as well. Everything is combined. The physical effects, everything just works so beautifully, doesn't it?
There's been nothing better. And those monoliths, it's all there.
I know.
Everything about it is spectacular.
What's really fascinating that you both mentioned, and which I spoke about with Neil earlier as well, is that contemporary design sometimes doesn't get the credit that it deserves, and so the mundane, monochrome, beige, austere designs can sometimes really heighten the drama. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Paul, and of course in Odyssey, James, that's probably one of the gold standards of all time. Guys, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much for your time. Congrats on really successful designs on your seasons, and good luck for your upcoming work. I look forward to speaking to you again sometime soon.